Hello, Insight community. It's Mike Connor once again with the second of our series of short videos on the Insight One seminar. A number of you replied saying it'd be helpful to have little 3 to 5 minute videos that covered some of the lessons, life lessons that are part of the Insight One. And as I mentioned on the last video, I've counted something between 25 and 30 practical tools, tips, approaches from the Insight One. So on my first video, I covered one of our core ground rules, use everything for your learning, upliftment, and growth. I was thinking whether on this video, whether I should stay with a chronological process or bounce around a bit. I think I'm going to bounce around a bit. And I'm finding myself attracted to talking about the three selves: the high self, the conscious self, and the basic self, and taking that from a model and bringing it into how do we live those three selves? How do we help them to live from a place of alignment? Because what we know is when the high self, conscious self, and basic self are working together, life works pretty well. I will probably do a video on each one of those selves because I think each one really is worth a deeper dive. But on this one, I wanted to look at the relationship between the three and how they can work to come into alignment in terms of serving you and serving your life. You might recall a little skit we did in the Insight One around money and how the high self, conscious self, and basic self would look at money. The high self would come upon a $100 bill in maybe on the street and just observe it, saying, that's interesting, a form of currency floating freely in the universe. Conscious self would come in and bring in money. Wow, that's a lot of money, $100. Ooh, did somebody drop it? Should I return it to them? Should I keep it for myself? So it begins to process that with a whole series of what's right, what's wrong, what do I believe about money, what should I do? And then the basic self would come in and simply see the money and grab it and say, woohoo, money, it's mine. So what I want to do is kind of look at what are the relationships between those three selves. So let's start with the high self to the conscious self. High self is really the part of us that provides us with inspiration, with insight. It also is a place we can connect into in terms of a sense of our life purpose and what truly matters to us in terms of living our life. Conscious self is the self where we have beliefs, where we process beliefs, where we look at what's right, what's wrong, some of our shoulds. And then our basic self kind of sits in our body. It sits in that place where we manage our energy and what do we do physically here on the planet in terms of what we're thinking about and what we're inspired to do. The conscious self, as it relates to the higher self can provide the conscious self with some inspiration. It can take kind of that part of us that wants to process the world and give it a why, give it a reason for what it's doing and kind of inspire it. Conscious self to basic self is the ability to have a relationship of trust. The basic self sits like just wanting to be guided in terms of what to do. It's waiting for guidance from that conscious self, and it wants to know that what that conscious self is telling it, it's going to line up with that in terms of keeping its agreements, in terms of matching words and thoughts with action. And that's how we build trust in that basic self in terms of manifesting and moving things into the physical level. The high self to the basic self is an interesting one because oftentimes the conscious self will block some of those more intuitive messages coming from the high self. And so the high self will work to get its message communicated in through the body, in through that kind of gut sense you get or that sense of intuition or how we feel about something. And so it'll work to provide insight, inspiration, guidance through the basic self or through the body and then up to the conscious self as part of a way to help us to align our actions, our plans, anything we're doing in life around a greater sense of meaning and a greater sense of purpose. So again, high self in relationship with conscious self in relationship with basic self, and then the way that the high self and the basic self also relate. And again, if we can live from a place where our high self is providing us with a sense of insight, inspiration, purpose, our conscious self, we can look at our beliefs, kind of notice what beliefs serve us, what don't serve us, and then our basic self, which needs the clarity to move forward in terms of action. When we can line those three up, life tends to work. So that's it for this one. Hopefully we'll see some of you at the upcoming Insight One seminar as an audit, or maybe as on the assisting team. And again, once again, please share the gift of insight with the people in your life. One of the greatest gifts I've ever received, and hopefully you as well. Have a great day. Bye.